So today we are talking to the lovely Tom Loomes. Thank you for joining us, Tom. Tom and I worked together at Adobe, and we were two of the co-founders of a parent network, which I'm sure we'll talk about later on.
Yeah.
But Tom left Adobe last year and he joined a company called Latchmill, which is a practitioner-led consultancy. And these guys help businesses of all shapes and sizes, I'm sure, bring together and understand the value of the data, and I guess bringing that complexity around what is considered digital data and how better businesses can benefit from using it correctly, using it in the right way, and actually using it to speak to their consumers and their potential clients. But Tom, I will give it over to you to do a quick intro.
Hello, thank you very much. Yeah, actually, so yeah, that intro is perfect. You should come and work on it. Come and do our pitches. But yeah, so Tom. But yeah, so yeah, I left big corporate last year to join Latchmill. Like I can explain a little bit more when we're chatting. But essentially, like you said, yeah, practitioner-led consultancy. We work with a range of clients, from global pharma clients through to enterprise and medium-sized B2B e-commerce clients, and really focused on digital analytics. So really kind of focused on how do we kind of help them build sustainable in-house capabilities. And it's kind of split to two parts. So we've got the kind of consulting part of the business where we'll kind of go in and we'll kind of understand their current setup, we'll kind of audit and give them that kind of advice and strategy around what they should do, and maybe help with things like strategy or digital data governance. And then a big part of the business is around delivery. So yeah, we've got a team of analysts. So I think there's 11 of us now.
Wow.
Yeah, like you said, I joined last year. It feels like ages ago now.
Yeah.
But
Although it doesn't
yeah,
seem like that long ago as well when
yeah.
you think about the stuff we did at Adobe. But yeah, it was like a couple of years ago, wasn't it?
But yeah, it's going really well. So yeah, I think it's been an interesting journey, which I'm sure we'll talk about.
Yeah, amazing. Amazing. One of the things that I was so excited to get you to come and talk to us was, I think when you're in the world of corporate and it's like this huge machine, isn't it? And we were so lucky with like our experience at Adobe and like just, I mean, obviously other companies, but I love the fact that you actually left, and that you left not to go to another huge American corporate company, but you chose to do a different path within your career, and obviously your like success and what you want to do in that way. Like, I just think it's really admirable. And I was like, that's what's so excited, like to be like, come and talk, like come and tell us. So I just love to know, like, what made you think, actually, I've reached that point in my life or my career or my learning that I thought, do you know what? I don't really want to jump straight back into a big corporate. I'm going to go for something that's completely different.
Yeah, I think it's good. And I think like everyone, you finish uni or finish education and then naturally follow that path that everyone else follows, right? So go and get an office job, and then you ultimately end up in corporate life, which is great. And I loved working at Adobe, loved working in other previous corporate roles. But I think I've been doing this type of work, so analytics, data, for about nearly 20 years.
Wow.
Oh yeah, I think 2007 I started in like digital and like marketing, and then moved in.
Wow.
This path.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of that time was client side. So before Adobe, I was at a company called RS Components, or they're now RS Group. So a massive B2B organization. And it's like there where I moved into leadership, so heading up digital data and marketing technology, and then our digital data solutions. And then obviously moved into Adobe because I had been an Adobe customer or client at RS. Moved into Adobe, kind of bringing that kind of client's view in terms of actually what's it like to be an Adobe customer, and moving into pre-sales, which I had no idea what pre-sales was. So yeah, pre-sales is great career kind of way to kind of build out your careers, particularly if you're technical. The movement for me was really around focusing around, I guess, kind of leadership.
You had a big team, didn't you, at Adobe? Like you did have quite a big team.
I think I had at one point, I had about 14, and then towards the end it was kind of about 10. So from moving to RS, where I had a team of probably about 5 or 6, and then to Adobe, that kind of almost doubled. But I think the whole kind of like I guess the kind of like the theme, or like the kind of like the kind of trajectory for me was I wanted to kind of be involved in leadership and people management. So in
Yeah.
previous roles outside of Adobe, I guess like everyone, you kind of you had as you're kind of growing your career, you work for people and you think actually they're not
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So
I don't want to be
you,
like that. Yeah.
yeah. You have like a lot. I don't think this happens as much now, and I don't. Yeah, it certainly didn't happen when I was at Adobe in kind of previous roles. There was historically, probably kind of like 10, 15 years ago, there was a lot of people that were in management positions that were very technical that
Oh my
just,
God. Yeah.
yeah, become a
Then
manager
move into
because,
manager.
it's like that career path, isn't it? They just become a manager and they should not be managers.
Yeah. I think that's a
So,
good podcast, is talking about
yeah,
terrible managers. Like, 'cause they make you a
yeah.
better manager, don't they? But some of the managers I've had, especially straight after uni, I was like, this surely can't be real. Like, this surely isn't what it's like in the real world. Like,
Yeah, yeah, fond experiences of my first manager out of uni.
yeah,
But yeah, it's so I think when I was at the point of thinking about okay, career changes when I was at RS, I really wanted to move into leadership and people management. So a lot of my focus over the last 10 years or so has really been around more the people side of things. So building
yeah,
up soft skills, really focusing on coaching and mentoring. How do you build high performing team? I think one of the things I've always tried to focus on is how do you build more trusting and safe teams. So for me, it's being moving into a leadership role was really more around adopting more of like a servant leadership approach. So actually,
yeah. That's
my
really nice.
success is making other people successful and helping them build their career paths. So I felt like I did, probably did that for a good
Yeah, that's really nice.
4 or so years at RS, and then moved over to Adobe and had a great time there. But particularly at Adobe, building out really strong team, great leadership within pre-sales,
Mm.
and then I got to the point where, well, I was turning 40. I had a midlife crisis, turning 40, and then I was thinking, actually, what do I want to do next? Do I want to stay within Adobe or stay within pre-sales and think about how I progress, or should I think about doing something different? And I think I was getting to the point where I was thinking, actually, it'd be really nice to try something on my own, even if it's
Yeah,
only for a short time,
yeah.
just to say that I've done it. And I was lucky that when I was at RS, I was part of a really strong analytics leadership team. So my old boss Gavin and my old colleague Andy, who I used to head up marketing, technology, and data, and Andy headed up insight. So the three of us worked very closely together, and they'd started, I think, just after COVID. They'd
Yeah.
started Latchmore, so 2020. So we're 5 years old this month.
Amazing.
So yeah, it's they started the business. They decided to kind of build up Latchmill. Had brought on some great clients. They'd also brought in other strong leadership as well. So Haley, who I also used to work with at RS, had joined. They'd started to build out a really strong analytics team, and just through
Amazing.
kind of keeping in touch with them and having kind of regular chats, we just started talking about what do they want to do for their business and
Yeah.
how do they want to grow, and that kind of naturally just kind of led into kind of me being kind of brought into Latchmill,
Amazing.
which is quite nice.
Yeah.
Again, I guess I'm like utilizing skills that I learned at Adobe from previous roles as well, but also I guess that kind of that leadership part. So,
Yeah.
um, so for me, actually, that kind of it really kind of like ticked all the boxes because I wanted to try something on my own. But there's always that risk that actually, if you do it on your own, you have to kind
Yeah.
of do it whilst you're working your 9 to 5 to kind of
Want to
build
work
it
it
out.
up. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Or
Building it up
or
all
you
the
try to
time.
start up. But yeah, and I kind of always thought actually I would love to do a startup, but actually I might cut out for it. But
Yeah.
when Latchmore came along, which is kind of now it's scale up, but actually it's kind of joining a business that was in kind of startup with the kind of
Mm.
safety that I guess the safety of knowing that I was kind of working with people that I really like and really trust, but also they had a really strong client base as well
Oh,
that I
that's
could kind of
amazing.
also help
Yeah.
add to that. So yeah, that was kind of like the pivot then. So it's kind of I was kind of getting to 40, thinking about kind of like what I should do next. I think kind
Yeah.
of the lifestyle as well. My mum was at the time was really ill, so I was kind of thinking actually there's no point, like you shouldn't waste time
Yeah.
kind of like worrying
Kind
about
of
things. Just kind of do it.
prioritize it,
Yeah,
don't you?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And actually, so for me, it was kind of not leaving Adobe or corporate life because I hated it. It was
No.
leaving it because I thought there'd be opportunities, and if it all went wrong, then
Yeah.
hopefully I could I could go
You
back.
can live with that. I know.
Yeah.
I think that's the nice thing, isn't it? It's like when you leave a company that, or like an industry stroke size business
Mm,
that you're so used to working in,
yeah,
it's the option to go, actually, that is my comfort zone and I get it and I
yeah,
understand it. And I've got a lot of really great connections. And I want to try this. I want to do something different and experience a new way to be myself type thing.
yeah,
But like you said, you had that option to go back if you ever needed to or wanted to.
yeah. And I know it's like the way that I did it was kind of very kind of lucky in terms of how it all lined up. And I've had a chat with kind of lots of kind of people that I've worked with previously and kind of
Mm.
friends that kind of all. I think there's a general feeling now that people do actually want to kind of do their own thing or kind of do something
Yeah.
alongside their kind of 9 to 5. And it's obviously the kind of job market at the moment is really tough. So in terms of like if you want to do
Yeah,
something on
really
your own,
tough.
it's trying to figure out actually how do you do it. Yeah.
You really stand out in it. And
Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I think the one thing I've really learned since leaving is I think one of my things that I always loved was networking and staying in touch with
Mm,
people that I learned from and enjoyed working with. And I think you can underestimate, can't you, how that power of connection with the guys that now you work with and
mm,
alongside, how actually keeping those connections and the people
yeah.
that you did work well with can turn into something years down the line. It doesn't necessarily need
Yeah.
to be as soon as you knee jerk as a decision. Actually, it can be years down the line in which you then start working together again. It's like that,
Yeah.
just the
Exactly.
power of your values. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think if you have, in terms of network, no one loves networking, do they? It's
No, oh
but
my God. I just want to stand there and I drink so much tea
yeah,
and I'm like, oh my God, I don't even like coffee. So I'm just going to keep drinking tea.
but I think that point you made though, if you like, if you start a role, and particularly with your immediate team or the department or function that you work in, just building
Yeah.
out real, actual, personable relationships. Because I never understand. I never understand people that say that they keep work and personal life separate. Because I
No,
feel,
me either.
yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like you're at work for so long, you need to make
For
friends
yourself.
and get to know
Yeah,
people. And like
exactly.
when we were at Adobe, there was the opportunity to work with so many smart people
Yeah,
and different people and spark friendships and conversations. So again, it's just building out that network, and
exactly.
it's not doing it strategically to think, oh, actually, if I make friends with this person, then
Yeah.
10 years down the
No,
line, they might. It's actually,
yeah,
it's just, I
like
feel like,
genuine.
just being a genuine, nice person, building relationships with
Exactly.
people. And then if those relationships yeah, turn into
Then
something
brilliant.
later down the line in terms of,
Yeah,
in terms of being able to kind of work
exactly.
together, then that's
Yeah.
always a positive.
So do you guys work with all size businesses? Like, is it very much, do you have a niche or is it very much at the moment you scale towards what you think that the potential of a business's data could be?
Yeah, I mean, we've been really fortunate that we've um, got some really big clients.
Mm,
So our largest client is a global pharmaceutical company. So
amazing.
we work with their US team. Predominantly, we're focused on delivering their insights. So we almost act as their digital analytics team, and it's really focused on marketing. So working with their media agencies to understand the effectiveness of their media spend.
On the campaigns.
Um,
Yeah,
for the
amazing.
campaigns, yeah, and then also understanding, what's happening on site when they're making site changes. And then we've over the last 5 years, the team have built out a real kind of niche within pharma. And then we've also, again, leaning on our backgrounds, having worked in B2B and e-commerce, we're
Yeah.
also working with some larger enterprise B2B clients across UK and Europe. And then we've
Amazing.
also worked with some other agencies where we've then kind of helped them with some of their clients across financial services and what kind of like corporate type businesses.
Top sizes. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's interesting actually because we're scaling up at the moment, and I'm doing some work now on our plan and what do we want to do
Mm,
from a marketing. And I think this is probably the best tipping point for most businesses now when you get to 5 years old and we're generating healthy
yeah.
revenue. But actually, if you want to then think about how you then increase that, it's thinking about
What's your
actually
next one? Yeah.
what's your next steps and who do we want to target and why. So I think for us, we don't necessarily want to just focus on pharma and B2B. I think there's an interesting potential around, say, like moving into more regulated industries, but also thinking about financial services as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that because that's the
Yeah,
people I've met and spoken to. I feel like that's a really good that they talk about similar things, and especially like the
Mm.
sensitivity of data, like that must be a
Yeah.
massive thing as part of it as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the regulated industries perspective is probably more around, again, working in pharma is heavily regulated. So
Yeah,
again, it feels like that lends itself well. So if we went to work with public sector or energy companies, particularly in the
yeah,
UK, there's that, again, that real focus around regulation and
yeah.
data and how
And
that's
transferring that
controlled.
understanding. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
definitely.
But yeah, I think for us, it's focusing on those enterprise type organizations. It's really about understanding ideal clients are really those that have internal capabilities around digital analytics, but they're unsure around whether they're actually realizing its full potential or seeing a great ROI, or do they have the right tools? So we can go in and help them assess where they are from a people, process, technology
What
perspective and
tools? Yeah,
get them up and running. Or it might be people, or it might be clients that don't have those capabilities and they want us to come in and get things set up for them.
yes. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
my next
essentially,
question, was going to be
yeah.
that. Yeah,
But yeah, essentially,
amazing.
yeah, those clients either have, a need for some type of digital transformation. It feels like we've been talking about digital transformation for years.
Yeah,
But it's,
but
yeah,
it's
in
like
terms of,
actually happening. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So so clients that are either wanting to go through that transformation or they're spending a lot of money on media and advertising and they need to ensure that they're seeing the right return on investment
Very
as well.
amazing.
I mean, I think over the next few months as we're planning next year, it's going to be really interesting for us as we start thinking about scaling up the business,
Yeah.
targeting. We're also thinking about actually how do we build out more of a sales function as well,
Mhm.
sales marketing function,
Yeah, I've heard that
because
all
I think
well.
as you're finding out as well, like it's when you worked at big corporate, everyone had their swim lanes and you kind of
Oh
did your
my God, yeah.
bit and then
And now you're everything. Like,
oh, everything, yeah. So my role is around client services, which is really around actually how do we grow the business, so existing and new clients, but thinking about our value add services, but also our partnerships and marketing as well, and then our
yeah,
sales processes. But then as we start scaling to next year, it's really thinking actually, what additional support do we
how can
need?
you build it out?
Um,
Exactly.
yeah, and then putting processes in place because
Yeah. Oh yeah,
as
we all
much
love
as
a process.
yeah, I find that really interesting because I think when you're in big corporate and there's so many processes and
Yeah.
people always roll their eyes around a process, and sometimes it can feel a little bit overwhelming.
Mhm.
But when you're doing it on your own, I guess like when you're doing it on your own and you're starting up a business, and this is for I guess like the first year and stuff, it can be fairly organic. But then when you start bringing people in or you've got multiple
Yeah, you've
clients,
got to
then
have a
it's like
structure. Yeah.
you need that structure and
I
processes and stuff.
I was always like, I will never create as many PowerPoints as I had to create in like half an hour.
Yeah.
And now I'm
But
like, I think I'm just going to put that on a PowerPoint. I think that's the best thing is I put it on
yeah.
a PowerPoint and I make the posters that way. Now I'm like, who am I? I hate PowerPoint. Now I'm the one using it more. Yeah, it's so funny.
Yeah, I
Amazing.
think it's I think trying to do it all is interesting. It's definitely kind of a good stretch in terms of actually it's
Yeah.
nice because you kind of own it and you can kind of shape it. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And like
I
you're
guess
learning as well, isn't it?
yeah,
You just
yeah,
learn so much about stuff
yeah,
that you said in other jobs with much more headcount, not even just corporate ones, but larger companies. You think, that's the expert. That's what they're good at. But whereas when you're doing it
mm,
on your own or in a smaller business, it's what do I need to prioritize to learn and how do I
mm,
do that based on what will it get me in for ROI rather than actually
yeah,
thinking that would be nice to have. I think whereas I get so distracted by the nice things. I'm like, oh my God, I can make that look really nice. But I've never
yeah,
actually had the job. Whereas no, that's gonna do absolutely nothing. Stop. Like,
yeah.
it's
Spending
ridiculous.
two days designing a PowerPoint
Yeah,
slide page.
yeah. Making a little flamingo move on a screen.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter. That's
that's good though.
amazing.
Yeah.
I'll show you. I'll show you. So do you feel like since you joined Latchfield, do you feel like it's one of those, you hear about, well, I definitely did, is everyone when you start out or you're a founder or you'll start scaling up, it's all about if you learn, you're learning from being something going wrong or something failing, or actually that's the
Yeah.
best learning experience. Do you think that's true? Do you think that's what you guys have experienced? Or is it very much catch the failure before it might happen and then you've been able to amend it?
Yeah, I guess I kind of joined at the point where the business was maturing. So,
Mm.
so when I joined, it was 3.5 years old. So, there was probably things that the guys had tested and learned from. But I think in terms of my role coming in, that was a brand new role
Yeah.
for Latchmill. So yeah, I think it was an interesting one because there wasn't any expectations around targets or performance when I came in. It was really around
Mm.
understanding what I could do to help move the dial for the business in terms of performance. But I think, yeah, definitely having the opportunity to test things and fail is always
Yeah.
good. I feel like there was always, at Adobe, the way that we ran the team was reassuring them that it was okay to fail
Yeah.
as long as you
Just
learn from
learn
it,
from
don't
it.
and don't do
Yeah,
it again.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
so true. They were it was so like that. It was always like, as long as you try and there's a
yeah,
reason and there's the goal in which you're trying to achieve, and if it doesn't work, we tried, we park it, we do
yeah,
something else. I think that's such a good way to run a business.
yeah. I think so. I think one of the kind of things I've learned is that I'm quite impatient. So I like to, if I think of something, it's like paradox. I'm very impatient, but also I'm quite measured and analytical. So I'll take
Yeah.
my time to take in information and come up with a plan or a strategy, but then I want to deliver it within the next 2 hours. Um, so I think probably when I joined, I was probably trying to do that classic thing of thinking, oh, you need to demonstrate your delivery value within the first 2 months,
Yeah.
and not
Have you
actually
ever
thinking,
done that?
actually, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and then completely forgetting all the advice I'd given to my teams over the year around you need 6 months to get in and get up and running. So I think for me, massive failings from time at Latchville, but I guess not necessarily rushing into things,
Yeah.
or thinking that it's
Yeah.
going to get
Yeah.
things set up is always good. I think I've also learned that, particularly in this role, because I'm not leading a team now, so it's just I'm looking after myself, which is
Yeah.
a bit of an adjustment from going to having
No,
from
I
doing
bet
like
you feel
10.
like you've got loads of time, do you,
Yeah.
Will?
Yeah, yeah. All that free time. Uh,
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of learnings from that. I think one of the ones that I was thinking about was really around, historically, I've been quite a people pleaser, which I don't think I
Yeah.
do now. I think now that I'm in this role, I've got the more autonomy.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
No, that one.
Last one.
Uh, it's kind of just do what I need to do and I want to do for the success of the business. But I think
Mm.
previously I've always been a bit of a people pleaser, not to the detriment of performance, but sometimes I think you can confuse being helpful with being a people pleaser and doing
Yeah.
things that actually you probably shouldn't do or you should push back on, but because you're a nice person and you
Yeah.
want to keep people happy,
Yeah.
you kind of
And
end
also
end up
when you
doing things.
work with so many different people in different
Mm,
companies, I really relate to you on that because I was very much like that. I wanted to be that connector and that person who was really
mm,
trustworthy and genuine, and they were and are my values. But it was the point where I thought, if they're louder in a meeting, and do you know what? We're going to get there the same way anyway, but I'll
yeah,
just do what
yeah,
they prefer. Whereas you're right. I think when you're moved away from that environment, actually you
mm,
realize how much you did do that, and actually
yeah,
how your voice is still heard by saying it in a different way, or even saying no, but knowing why. I think it's
yeah,
that
yeah.
empowerment, isn't it?
And that point you made earlier about, you can't spend hours perfecting stuff. I think
Yeah.
when you're kind of doing it on your own or you're part of a small team, actually you can make that call, right? If
Yeah.
if you want to invest your time in something that's actually going to generate revenue and profit over having a nice looking PowerPoint deck, then
Yeah.
that's absolutely what you should do. And you can kind of
Exactly.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exactly. You don't have to
So yeah,
justify it.
I think having the power to say no is good and something that I'm kind of enjoying more now.
Yeah.
I'm still a very nice
That's a
person.
good. Yeah. Of course you
Yeah,
are.
yeah,
I know, that's so powerful. I
yeah,
love listening to webinars or podcasts, anything like that, where it is about how no's not negative. And I try and
mm,
tell my girls that as well. Like, obviously, no child likes the word no, but I'm like, it's
yeah,
not a bad word. It's like, it's
mm,
actually showing your boundary. And then going into adulthood and working, I want them to know that you can say no positively in a nice
yeah,
way, but it's I'm the same. Like, I always felt bad if I'd say no and justify it with a big reason and elaborate.
mm,
Oh my God, this is why. Whereas actually, it's like, do you know what, actually, that's not the right thing right now. So we're
Yeah,
not going to
yeah,
do it, but let's go back to it or whatever it could be. I think that's what I used to like fear as well, but I love it. Do you think if you were ever to go back into corporate or like a bigger world after Latchmail, do you think that's the kind of learning you would take and try and implement if you did have teams again, or if you went as just like an independent? Like, do you think that's a learning you could take from smaller
yeah.
business?
I think so. I was thinking about this. I think it is probably more like you're saying. It's probably more difficult to say no to things when you're part of a bigger organization because
Yeah.
you don't want to be seen as that kind of that negative person
But
or that
yeah.
kind of blocker. Yeah, yeah. I think definitely empowering teams to is yeah. It's not about saying no. It's about actually taking a step back and thinking why. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, why does someone want to do this, and is it the right thing to be doing, or are we just doing it because we're trying to make other people or other teams happy.
Feel happy.
So
Yeah,
yeah, I
exactly.
guess just being more objective about things, but also communicating why you're doing things. I think
Yeah.
the worst examples are where people say no, but there's enough filters back down, but people don't understand why they've said
Yeah. The
no.
communication around it, I
Yeah,
guess. It's so important,
yeah,
isn't it? Rather than just the word.
yeah. But it's an interesting one, and I think because again, I've naturally worked in teams that have been more introvert.
Mm.
So having worked, I guess particularly within data analytics, teams are often a bit more quieter. Not necessarily everyone's not an introvert, but people are
Yeah.
generally more quieter and won't necessarily voice their opinions all the time. I think sometimes it's
Yeah.
around understanding actually how do you call that out of people. So yeah, going back to that point I made earlier around building safe environments for people
Yeah. That's really
is really
nice.
important. And then that way that then empowers them to give feedback.
Yeah.
Particularly if you've got you know very quiet people within a big corporate that are trying to
Yeah.
kind of deliver a message back to someone that's an extrovert or in a
Yeah. Much
I guess in a
louder.
position,
Yeah.
yeah, or in a leadership position. It's trying to
Yeah.
kind of
Definitely.
kind of make sure people are kind of feel empowered and safe to do that.
Yeah. And what do you think, just from what you were saying, from an advice perspective, if someone was growing the business and they were starting to scale up like you guys
Mm.
have, and they were looking to recruit people, do you guys work together because you're all quite similar, or do you have one of those business values where you're like, we want people who, I don't know, you wouldn't do this, but we don't want parents because we need them there all the time. Like, do you have a set of value? Like, because I feel really strongly that I want my business to work and be successful based on my values, which are like,
Mm.
how do you create adaptability and enable people to feel that they can have boundaries? Like everything that we stood for in our parent network, like
Yeah,
I really want to have people who want to work with me and our clients rather than
yeah,
I want to be this, I want to be that. We're going to be like ruthless. I really like the whole value of actually come and be a nice person, work hard, but we work around each other's
mm.
ability. Like, do you
Yeah,
guys at Lackmill, have you
yeah.
got the
That's
same sort of mindset?
exactly, yeah, exactly the same kind of mindset. So for us, it's
Yeah.
really around we always hire based on not people's ability, but in terms of what we think
Yeah.
they can achieve. So typically, if someone's coming into an analyst position, yes, we'd want them to have experience within analytics or had analysis as part of their
Yeah.
background. If they work a pure analyst, for example, and maybe they worked in marketing, but they were responsible for delivering analysis or insight.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really hiring for attitude and what we think
Yeah. I love that.
people can
Yeah.
do. But also, I think we're quite mindful that because between the four of us, we have spent a lot of time historically working together. We
Mm.
don't want that. We don't want people to think actually it's some kind of club. it's
Yeah. Yeah. Like
yeah,
maybe like
yeah,
intimidating that it's like if
yeah,
they talk to one of you, they're talking to four of you rather than
yeah.
actually relationship individually. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So we try to operate a really flat structure. We really focus on the team, being curious, but also really thinking about actually what do the clients want
Yeah.
ultimately, and then from our team's personal perspective, it's really around exactly what you're saying. How do we complement each other? How do we
Yeah.
work around what's going on in the outside world? Quite a few of us parents, other people have got other commitments. So
Yeah.
and I think we're all very mature and respectful of what's going on.
Yeah.
There's
That's really nice.
there's no expectation that people need to be working
Yeah.
between 9 to 5 every day. You have to be sat at your desk,
Yeah,
which is
exactly. But
really,
don't you think that's so nice though that you feel
yeah,
that I mean, years and years and years ago, I bet when you had a small business, people would be very much like, I mean, I know the world's changed now, but it was like,
mm,
you've got to be here at this time, you're driving my business. Whereas actually, I do
yeah,
feel like the last few years has taught us that actually that flexibility, you get more out of people. And that's so important to allow them to
yeah,
feel that we were saying earlier, that they're their genuine self. They're not putting a front on at work and then they're Tom at home, Tom at work. It's like actually enabling them to grow personally as well as professionally.
yeah, exactly. And I think because we're also a fully remote business as well, so
Yes, of
we,
course. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So we meet up. Well, definitely we normally have a team day at least every 2 months.
Yeah.
So actually this week we're meeting up for our very early Christmas celebration. Um,
Amazing.
so
A
yeah,
good
we get time together.
November
Yeah,
like
good,
meetings
good.
up.
Um, but yeah, we try and encourage the team to get together whenever they can. So I'm really looking where I live, the town I live. We've got a co-working space that I use regularly, but there's also a few other members of the team that live locally. So
Yeah.
we try and meet up there. The rest of the team is spread throughout the UK, but we always encourage them to meet up as and when
Yeah.
they want to. So
Yeah.
it's like little things. So we have a co-working allowance that all the team can use. But I think we're very conscious of. I guess it was like when we were in lockdown, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And you couldn't be
You're
together.
isolating someone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. How do you make sure you're driving that connectivity with the team when you're remote? But
Yeah. I
also,
love that.
how do you adapt for team members that do want that kind of regular face to face
Yeah.
or
Especially if
contact?
it's the persona of maybe some of the roles are quite introverted and they don't
Yeah,
want to be going out. That must be quite a hard juggle. But I love that. That's such a good point from remote working for smaller businesses of certain
mm,
different industries. It's like a lot of the people I've worked with, they're all remote as well, but they do the
yeah,
same, like to make sure they do it. And the other thing I love, which I know we were both really hot on as well, was that well-being side, like with
mm,
that co-working allowance you said. And it's so important, isn't it, that you have a
yeah,
connection, even if it is just encouraging them. And if they don't want to go, you've given that encouragement and you're actually saying, look, let's get outside, do this, do that. But I think a
yeah,
lot of people lose that sometimes in their let's
yeah,
do stuff down.
yeah. I think so. I think for me that was probably one of the biggest learnings from going from big corporate to startup was actually the community part of it. So
Mm,
I probably felt like when I moved over, that first 6 months is a period of adjustment in terms of actually this is really nice because I don't have to do X amount of one-to-ones a week or I can
yeah,
create processes. And then towards the end of my first year, I was thinking, actually, I'm really missing that community vibe.
yeah,
And I think I was confused. I was confusing that between missing working in corporate life.
mm,
So I was thinking, actually, am I missing being part of a big organization? And I thought about it for quite a few months, but actually, what it did boil down to was not having that community. So
yeah,
the biggest thing I focused on, again, being fully remote, is how do I build out a community of people around me that I can, yeah, have regular
rely
contact
on.
with. So
Yeah, that's really true.
I'll use co-working space 2 or 3 times a week. I've also got there's also a really good gym that I'm a member of, and that's
Mm,
really community focused as well. And things like
yeah, I love that.
running clubs. But yeah, I think it depends on what type of person you are. I thought that I was quite happy, kind of not spending that much time with
Yeah,
people, but it turns out I do actually like people.
yeah.
So yes,
Isn't it so funny? Because I'm
yeah,
like, I love people, I love working with people, but I also really enjoy having time by myself, like
yeah,
concentrating, putting the music on. But I'm the same as you. I think I'm at that stage of because I'm there going different meeting people, having meetings, and then like going to a client's office if they've got one or a co-working space to
mm,
work with them. I think I was really similar. I was like, oh, I really miss actually going in the office 3 days a week,
yeah,
knowing who's there, going out for lunch. Whereas now I'm like, is it that I miss that environment or I miss the people and I need
mm,
to create that space in a different way? But I think that's such a good, like, just such a good insight for smaller businesses, either
yeah,
startup or established, is that, like you said, how do you recognize it? And once you've recognized it, how do you implement it so that it's not just for yourself, but other people? So that
Mhm.
when your team's growing and growing, actually it's something that you've got a USP on. It's like
Yeah,
well-being,
yeah,
community, they're our values, and that's what we love to embed.
yeah. Because I think as well, particularly if I think about, when we're Adobe and like previous roles, like I say younger people makes it sound like I'm really
I
old.
know.
Yeah,
I'm
younger,
42 years
younger.
old. We're young at heart.
Yeah. I guess if you're in your 20s and you're living and working in London and work's really busy, you kind of spend a lot of time with work people, and that becomes
Yeah,
that kind of that community in that environment. And then
definitely.
if you then decided, actually I don't want to go and work at a startup and
Yeah,
it's fully
sit by
remote,
myself. Yeah.
yeah, it's going to have a massive impact on you. So I think I guess, that's probably the learning in terms of, if you're thinking about a career change and wanting to do something
Mm,
different, I guess it's really understanding around not necessarily what is it you want from work, but what drives you as a
yeah, from
person.
an environment.
Do you need to be around people that give you that energy or have that community, and can you
Yeah,
get that outside of work? Because I
definitely.
imagine for some people that then becomes a massive flight risk, doesn't it, in terms of their roles, because
Yeah, definitely.
they
Yeah,
yeah
because you just don't
you
think about it. Like,
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
might ch
yeah,
you might chase that dream of being, "Oh my god, I'm gonna do a startup at scaling and actually look at the impact I could have." But actually, when you step back and you're right, if that's the time of your life where you're really wanting to, or you've recently moved and it's like,
mm,
will you meet people that way and actually get that connection that you need to have
yeah,
motivation every day? Yeah, well, you answered my next question because I was gonna say, what would be your advice to anyone thinking of like changing from a big step, either small to big or big to small?
yeah,
Like, what's the key thing? And I think that's such a good point, is environment and actually
yeah.
meeting people as well.
I think so as well. And I don't think there's, in terms of career paths or the type of business that you want to work for, there's no right or wrong answer. It's,
Mhm.
if I'd stayed at Adobe for the rest of my life, I would have been very happy.
Yeah.
And I think there's, a lot, there's pros and cons about small businesses and big corporates.
Mhm.
We're joking about things like processes and things like that, and people get really
Yeah.
annoyed with them. And then when you come out of it, you realize how good they are. But then there's
Yeah.
also, I think within big corporate as well, the kind of amount of training you get exposed to,
Yeah.
kind
You
of
take for
the different,
granted, don't
yeah,
you? Like,
different types of people you meet,
yeah.
the kind of exposure you can have, is really good. The free food,
Yeah.
yeah,
Snacks, veggie
yeah,
corn, all that kind of stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
miss all that. But yeah, I think there's so many benefits about big corporates, and I feel
Mm.
particularly if you end up working somewhere like Adobe, particularly that, to me, it kind of never felt
Mm.
like it was a big corporate. Um,
No, because you've got
I
your
got,
team, haven't you? And the
yeah,
way you work with your team.
yeah, I think,
And
yeah,
like, it's like if you move jobs at Adobe, I always thought, and it was similar to my other company when I worked at 3, you actually felt like you were in a new company anyway, because the
mm,
values of the team slightly changed based on the people in the team. And it was like a different way of working, different
yeah,
tools mentally. But like, it did always feel like you were in a smaller company within this huge, big
mm,
machine. But yeah, you're right. Like, you definitely, I definitely miss the things that you don't realize that you
yeah,
take for granted,
yeah,
which is why I wanted to do this actually, because I always felt like we had so much exposure to amazing people and different talks and different networks, which was part of
mm,
obviously why we wanted to do our parent network. And I always felt like when I came out of it, I never realized how valuable that was from a
yeah, yeah,
motivation, but also from a learning. So I love learning. And I was like, there isn't that opportunity from a small business world that you have access to that. And I thought, if
mm,
I can bring people in and like we meet people like yourself that actually have got so much experience and so much advice and knowledge, it's like, how can we enable smaller businesses to access it for free, but
yeah,
also
yeah,
to
yeah,
learn from it? Because it is quite isolating. Sometimes you sit there and you go, I don't like, in my thought, they might think, I don't need to know anything about growth marketing. I don't give a shit about strategy. But
yeah,
actually, I want to leave, and I've got kids, and like, I feel like if people can relate to it, it's a great learning, and it's just a nice thing to take from the world of corporate that does it so well and
yeah.
start embedding it in the world of small business.
It's a really good point, because I think when I was particularly at Adobe, I spent a lot of time coaching and mentoring, and was supporting with
Mm.
the graduate and the intern programs
Yes. Yeah.
from a mentoring perspective, but actually thinking about, I guess, if you come out of corporate and you go into a startup or you're building your own business, I guess there's
Yeah.
opportunities there to think about actually how can I help mentor
Yeah.
either with the
People.
clients you're working with or just generally other mentoring opportunities, so I can give back some of the learnings I got whilst I was working
Yeah.
in corporate role. Because like you said, there's so many things that if you're just starting up and you're creating your own business that you have to learn and juggle, but then you can potentially get access to someone that's done, a very particular role
Mhm.
or on my career path, but they can give you so much knowledge.
Definitely.
So yeah, I
Meet
think
people.
one thing that's really interesting about the co-work that I use is from a networking perspective, they're starting to think about, again, randomly the town that I live in, Market Harborough, is little plug there.
Yeah,
Is
plug it, plug it.
yeah. So there's so many creative people and people running their own businesses. So particularly the co-work
Yes.
that I use. So they're now looking at actually how do we create a networking event, which isn't just telling people what you do in the hope that they'll kind
Yes.
of then give you business opportunities. Is actually thinking about how can we use a network to find people that got the skills that I don't have and they can help me,
Yes.
and vice versa. So
Exactly.
yeah,
That's
I
exactly like it round here as well. It's
mm,
so nice because it's like,
yeah,
but I'm going to make this set up anyway, but I'm sure it's something like around where I am in Buckinghamshire, there's like 67 or something percent of the businesses are small businesses that generate so much revenue that they dominate the working space. And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
exactly the same. It's like there's so many amazing small networks that bring together people purely to go, I don't have this skill set, but I would
Mm,
love to work with someone so that I can introduce clients to them, not even through me. And I love that.
yeah, yeah,
It's such a nice community, isn't it? Being small businesses. I don't feel like there's competition. It's actually enablement of other people
yeah, yeah,
and connecting them, which is just a
yeah.
lovely thing to do.
People building people. That's what we need.
Exactly,
Yeah,
Tom.
yeah,
That could be our
yeah.
little tagline.
Yeah. I was
Um,
saying, if you're going to do like a diary of a CEO kind of clickbait style intro, then
oh yeah, that could be. I'm going to use that. You're going to have to trademark it. But the one thing that I've been asking everyone that I've spoken to is, and because I love this, but I know what your favorite quote is, but will you tell everyone what your favorite quote is and
yeah.
why? Because I think it's brilliant.
Well, I was going to say I did have another one as well, which is my.
Oh, did you?
I've got to say, well, my first one would be "Don't be a dick."
Yeah.
That's the quote that me
That
and my
is
wife have
then.
always used. It's like,
Yeah.
we
Just
used to
don't
have
be.
we used to have two prints. I had one in my old office, which was be a nice person. Then we used to have one in the downstairs toilet, which was "Don't be a dick." But yeah, I think that's always the mantra to live by: be a nice
Yes.
person. Um,
Everybody. Yeah.
yeah, but I think the other one, I'd like to say this came from one of our greatest philosophers, but it was actually I was listening to a podcast, or maybe I was just doom scrolling on YouTube, and Florence Pugh,
Yeah.
one of the actors of us, I was going to say our generation, but I'm probably about 20 years older than that. She was talking about her kind of lifelong habit of people pleasing. And she said that she'd heard
Yeah.
a quote from someone, which is, yeah, when you stop people pleasing, people stop being pleased, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Which I think is a
I love
really good
that.
one to live by as well, because, yeah, I'm a people pleaser, my wife's a people pleaser, and
Mhm.
worry, you spend a lot of time worrying about if you don't do something, what will someone think? And actually, if you
Yeah.
think, I don't really give a shit what they think.
Yeah.
As long as you're not a
Exactly.
dick, then it's
Yeah.
fine.
Don't be a dick.
Yeah.
So I love that. I've just finished reading the Let Me Theory from Mel Robbins. And honestly, it's like when you hear something like that, which is so simple, but when that's part of you, like if you're a people pleaser like we are, it's learning how to train yourself to go, just let them, like, if they're not
Yeah.
pleased by what I'm doing, let them feel like that. And I'm just going to
Yeah.
carry on. I'm being a nice person. They could be a dick. And it's like, it's just those little mantras, isn't it? That you can actually change so much from a mindset perspective of
Yeah.
how you
Yeah.
succeed. It's so nice.
And I think I can't remember how I won't make up the stat, but I was reading the other day about like how much if you go to a party, for example, like and you're talking to someone and you always think about, okay, what are they thinking about?
Yeah.
Or what are they thinking about of me? That's saying something like something crazy. Like majority of the time, people are just thinking about themselves and what other people are
Yeah,
thinking about them. So if you and I were chatting at a party, like we should be worrying about what the other's thinking about each other because we're thinking exactly the same thing.
yeah.
It's
They're like, "I'm
why
so
are we?
sure, I'm so sure."
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I don't know why we're wasting so much time worrying about what other people are thinking
Yeah.
and what they'll
Wasted
say
energy,
if they
isn't it?
disagree. Yeah, yeah. Um,
Exactly. It's so true. No, I love that. Alex Hayward, I spoke to, and he said his favorite quote was, "Can you kick it? Yes, you can." And he even got it
mm.
put on his trainers. And I thought that was amazing. I was like, maybe put, "Don't be a dick" on your trainers. That'd be a good one.
Yeah, yeah. I'll get a neon sign made for the back wall.
I think you should. That'd be amazing. But
Yeah.
no, that was so, so interesting. Thank you so much. Honestly, I've learned so much. So I'm hoping that other people
Oh,
will
thanks, Anna.
do the same. And if you're happy for people to reach out to you, I'll share details and everything. And
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think
Yeah,
so just from your people management perspective, but also of course Latchmail, of how they can work with you as a company, but actually
yeah.
just the way in which you guys have set it up and you're scaling and being so successful. So hopefully people will reach out and yeah, you can meet some new people and get into your little village, get them on your network.
You're the tribe.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. But no,
Oh, thanks,
thank you,
Anna.
Tom. And yeah, we'll stay in touch.
Awesome. Thanks very much.